Hey guys, welcome. My name is Dominique and I'm an entrepreneur in residence at Startup San Diego. Before we dive into today's session, I'll provide a quick orientation. Today's session will be 45 minutes. The last 15 minutes we'll be jumping into a cocktail party, one-to-one speed networking session, so you get the opportunity to connect with panelists and participants. If you're new to the platform, you can share questions or comments in the chat box on the right side of your screen. You can also react to what you're experiencing with emojis in the bottom center of the screen. Please do share with us your reactions. I'm here to serve as live support for both audience members and Amber, as well as a timekeeper, so I will be backstage for a majority of the session. I'll pop back in when it's time for Q&A, and then again to launch the cocktail party. If you need anything, just drop me a line in the chat box. If you're sharing on social, don't forget to tag at SD Startup Week and use hashtag SDSM2020. This session is being recorded and will be available a few hours after the session ends. To access, scroll to the bottom of the Run the World agenda to find this session. The Join Live button will say playback and you'll be able to rewatch all the fun. Without further ado, please welcome to the stage Amber Frankhuizen to kick off Mindset and Psychology in Marketing.
Thank you so much for that intro. Hi, everyone. I am so stoked to be here with you guys today. Thank you for showing up. My name is Amber Frankhuizen. I'm coming at you from my little beach casita in Carlsbad. That's my dog, Poppy. You might hear her. She likes to fight off the UPS guy, and I'm trying to get some Amazon boxes delivered. So don't mind her. But today I'm going to talk as fast as I can to get through some major psychology hacks that you can implement into your business immediately. So let's get started. Who am I? Who is she? What am I doing here? I own a marketing agency based in Carlsbad. I'm a brand builder and a strategist. We mostly focus on real estate development, and luxury markets. But outside of my job title, I guess I should tell you how I got here and who I am. So I spent my career prior to owning this agency in the real estate world. I was the vice president of sales and marketing at a local real estate firm. I was responsible for close to $500 million in real estate assets and responsible for the sales and marketing of them. And I was also the youngest on the executive team and the only woman on that executive team. So I definitely got thrown into the deep end in my corporate career pretty quickly. And at times I was legitimately drowning. And I really struggled to find my footing in the corporate world, but figured it out along the way, thanks to a lot of mentors. But what was happening in my personal life was that I was struggling so much professionally that my personal life imploded. I promise this ties back to marketing. I want to tell you about why. So one Sunday morning, I wake up and the guy that I think that I'm going to marry says, sorry, this relationship is over. And P.S. I'm taking the dog. And I'll be honest with you guys, like the guy could leave, whatever, but losing the dog was like the worst thing that has ever happened to me. And I was a disaster. I was like holed up, like I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. And it was making things at work so much worse. So I had to figure out how to fix it. So I go to the Google machine, right? And I'm like, I've got to figure out a way to not break down in tears in the conference room. And what I found in searching for a solution was actually a lot of information that started me down this path of really diving deep into psychology and physiology and how that ties into marketing. So here's a couple of facts about what happens to your body when you go through a breakup or any type of extreme stress. So this is why like divorce, moving, job loss, all these types of things, it all has the same chemical reaction in your brain. When you break up or you lose something or someone, you have these neural connections in your brain and you associate them with safety or love or whatever it is, whatever that positive hormone is, like oxytocin and dopamine. So when you lose that thing, all of a sudden that neural connection gets cut and your brain starts to dump stress hormones called cortisol. What happens when you get too much cortisol in your body is that the cortisol signals your body to send blood to your major muscle groups because you're in that fight or flight. So you want to be running. And so you got to send energy to those muscle groups. So that's literally why your heart physically feels like it's being squeezed when you're going through a heartbreak because all that blood rushes to your chest. And then because that blood's rushing your muscle groups, it's away from your digestive system. And that's why you have stomach upset or you can't eat or anything like that. And on top of that, this type of interaction in your brain from a chemical level absolutely mimics the feelings of withdrawal from a drug. You literally go through the exact same process and the exact same chemical imbalance and rebalancing as if you were getting off of hardcore drugs. That's how hardcore going through a breakup is. And what that reminded me of as I'm learning this is like, I'm not unique. Like, everybody goes through this and everybody has the exact same experiences when we have these shared issues, challenges, etc. Because no matter, I mean, we're in this group, everybody in here is a stranger, but we have one major thing in common. And it doesn't matter how far along you are in your business, how much funding you have, how much experience you have. If you think you could give this talk better than me, doesn't matter. We're all humans. We all share the same physiology and the same psychology. And all that psychology is looking for patterns to figure out why humans think and act the way that they do. When we go through all of these same things, we have experiences and problems that are not unique, and the same thing applies in business. So why does this apply in the startup world? In sales and marketing, I always thought I was pretty good at sales. Like, I know how to prospect and I know how to close and all that kind of stuff. But when I started implementing these practical psychology tools, it skyrocketed my success, not only on a revenue basis, but on an interpersonal relationship basis, because I started really connecting with my customers as humans. So practical psychology is just all about understanding how people tick and how you can, have a little bit of knowledge that's going to make your life and your interaction with them easier. I'll give you two really recent examples. One of which is I have a really challenging client who, don't tell anybody, but I've been trying to fire her for a couple of months now because she is very challenging. But she got more challenging post-COVID. And we're all like, duh, right? Everybody's stressed. But the way she got more challenging was in micromanagement. And the reason she was going in that direction was because she lost all of her certainty. She's the type of person that gets all of her value and self-worth from her professional accomplishments. So when that was taken away from her because COVID closed her business, she had to overcompensate and then try to control something because she felt so out of control. And from, if you were looking at 2017 me, I'd be like, oh my God, she's crazy. I can't work with her. But practical psychology me in 2020 was like, okay, I understand where she's coming from. She's not attacking me. She's being a human and she's trying to cope. This also happened. I just met a new client on Tuesday this week. I went down to San Diego to meet her for the first time. She was a referral, so we hadn't met in person. So before we kicked off, I just wanted to introduce myself to her. And I noticed her energy, like she was very timid and nervous when we met and a little withdrawn. And I realized that, we're going to have marketing deliverables and all these things that we're going to do for her. But what she really needed, similar to this other client, was a feeling of security. She lost half of her team during COVID, not because she let them go, but because they found other jobs. And she doesn't feel safe in her business anymore. She doesn't know what she's doing is working. She doesn't know what to do next, and she's feeling insecure. And once I created a safety net for her and said, hey, I'm on your team, and what we're going to do is more than marketing. It's going to be, some business support and some foundational tools, and we're going to rebuild your business. She completely, I could see it in her body. She relaxed. What she needed from me was not a marketing deliverable. She needed to feel safe. And on a client-to-client basis, I cannot stress how important that is. So where do you implement these hacks? You put them in your sales page, in your website copy, in your social media presence, in your packaging, in your brick and mortar store, but most importantly, in your hand-to-hand combat with your clients. And that means either talking to them in person, emailing, talking to them on the phone. My whole goal today is to help you find ways to connect with your customer on a level that makes them impossible to ignore you. Because you're going to speak right past the sales pitch and you're going to speak directly into what they need as humans. So my whole goal with every topic we talk about is to give you actionable items so you can kind of spot check your own marketing and make sure that your brand and your company are utilizing these techniques to really connect with your ideal customer. So that's a little bit about me. If you guys could, I'd love to know a little bit about you in the chat box. Can you drop me some info? What I really want to know is if you guys are in business to business or business to consumer category, what sectors you're in, where you're playing, what you do, and also throw in your social media handles so I can stalk everybody afterwards because I will do that. You can find me on social media at AFMKTG. That is the name of my company, and I'd love to connect with you guys all there. Again, it's AF Marketing, AFMKTG. So please if you tag me or whatever, I just want to stay in touch and see if this lands for you. I'm open to feedback, and I can't wait to talk to you guys about this afterwards. Also, as I'm going through this, if you come up with any questions, drop them in the chat box and we'll attack them all at the end, okay? So really quick, laying the foundation again, human behavior, Psych 101. Psychology is the scientific study of the human mind and behavior. There are very basic and predictable ways that our brains are going to react to different stimuli, and there's very predictable ways that our physiology is going to react, just like what happened with me with that breakup. That's been repeated for every person that's ever gone through a breakup before. There are a whole bunch of theories that explain why these happen, whether it's like evolutionary theory or Maslow or Freud's theory of self. We're going to touch on some of them today. But the basis of this topic is that we can be making predictions about our customers' behavior by giving them the right stimuli to encourage them to act in a certain way. And yeah, this is like the dark side of marketing. This is what people hate, right? It's like, oh, mind control. And it's not really like that. But the fact of the matter is we can use psychology to encourage, to influence, to produce behavior, to manipulate behavior. And this works in every facet of your life, okay? This works in personal relationships, in business relationships, in negotiating with terrorists, and in negotiating with your children. Like anybody can, anybody can, you can use these techniques on anybody or for anything. And one of these techniques, and I'll call it out when we get to it, when I learned about it, it's actually what cult leaders use to get people to get into their cults. Like that's how hardcore it is. So yeah, these topics can be used for good or evil. So if everybody could just like solemnly swear to use this for good and not evil, I would really appreciate it. Okay. So let's start with what I promised in the description of this talk, and something that I deal with as a marketing agency owner every single day. It's the exorcism. What does this mean? Well, first, we have to identify the fact that like as business owners, as entrepreneurs, like our identities are so closely interwoven with our businesses. And I think a lot of us get a lot of ego benefit from having a business, having a brand. What is a brand? A brand is, well, what is a brand not? A brand is not a logo mark. It's not a slogan. It's not a color palette. It's not the Nike swoosh. A brand is the emotional reaction that people have about your company. It's what people are saying about you when you're not in the room. It is not rational. It's the emotional adjectives that people use to describe you, okay? And so this is the exorcism part, and this is the part that I have to say to my clients all the time. Kind of sucks. I don't care what you like. I don't care what fonts you like. I don't care what colors you like. I don't care about that logo you drew on the back of a napkin at a bar in Vegas. It's bad, okay? I don't care what you like. What I care about is what your customer likes. And a lot of times people's opinions of their business are getting in the way of their success and their ability to connect with their customer because they're so closely emotionally tied to it. And so it's really hard to exercise them from that, right? Because what we have to be aware of is how other people are perceiving the brand. Visuals communicate 1,000 words. The right font can communicate trust and legacy. Like think of like, you know, a serif font on a banking institution or a legal group versus like Bang Energy or like, I don't know, what's cool these days, White Claw. Like that doesn't have the same vibe, right? You're communicating with visuals all the time. So if you can control the emotional response of your customer based on the type of visuals or the type of stimuli you give them, why aren't we constantly tapping into people's emotions in our sales and marketing pitches if we know that their opinion of our brand is going to be 100% emotional? Right? We all agree based on my heartbreak story that the physiological response I experienced is, you know, universal for all human beings. We also know through psychology that people are going to have the same responses to things because they're universal for all human beings, right? So how can we control the outcome of how people respond to our brand is we get in the brain of our customer. This old adage from Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. If you haven't read that book, here's the Cliff Notes. Literally, the thesis of the book is just speak in others' interests. People want to know that you care about them. So instead of getting caught up what you think is important, you need to get down to what really matters, which is speaking to the heart of the issue and the soul of your customer. And oftentimes the customer isn't even conscious of what they're actually looking for. So if you can slide in and meet a need that they didn't even know they had, they might be looking for a project management software. on Google, but they're actually looking for a solution to make them better at their job. And that has to do with their significance and their ability to perform and their confidence. You're reaching them on a whole nother level, right? So you guys have all heard about ideal customer avatar. This is not a workshop for that. Go take one if you haven't already. But if you're doing this right and you're doing customer interviews, you need to be asking questions that are deeper than surface level. Because when you tap into the emotions of your customer early on, it's literally like getting the cheat code to the video game, and all of the adjectives that they give you, you slide that into your marketing copy and you're fucking golden. You've got all the answers up front. You just have to ask for them in the right way. So speaking of project management software, that's the example that I'm using here. We've got analytical questions and we've got emotional questions. The analytical questions are fact-based, they're yes or no answers, but the emotional questions, you'll notice all of the questions have the word feel. Feel, think, how do you see yourself? How do you hear, or how do you talk about this? What does that emotion, what is the emotion that they want before and after? I always relate this back to weight loss products because that's just really easy for people to think of a transformation because you have a physical picture of before and after, right? Well, there are emotions associated with who that person is before their transformation and who they become after. Before their transformation, they may be sad, they're not confident, they're not happy. And after that transformation, they have found strength within themselves, they're confident on a new level, they're a new person. And the product, whatever happens in the middle, whether it's a workout routine or a diet or a magic pill, that is your product. You've got to figure out how to take your customer from the emotions of before to the emotions of after. And you are going to be that magic bullet or that lightning bolt that happens in the middle to make that transformation happen. So let's look at these examples. I just pulled this from Googling like project management software and seeing what came up personally. And just in case you guys are looking for a PM software, I've tried all of them. I am a ClickUp stan. I am obsessed with ClickUp. I literally could not live without it. I'm evangelical ClickUp person. So if you need PM software and you want a referral code, hit me up. I will hook you up because I literally can't say enough good things about it. And yeah, they did show up in the Google search results, but these are more pertinent to the point because if I was doing some customer interviews and asking people what they thought about project management software, you can see the answers that we would probably get back right here in the copy, right? Like, I'm struggling to manage remote employees. That's a new problem. Or this one on Asana, they're using social proof, which we'll talk about in a second. Millions of users in 190 countries also use this product. Okay, that's really important. And then the last thing, I've heard this before. Yeah, we have a PM software, but like nobody really wants to use it. Okay, well, I'm going to address that conversation or that objection right here in my copy because I'm asking the right questions, right? And now this is a pretty dry example because it's software, but we'll get to the significance piece of this in just a second. What I want to touch on is this quote, because at the end of the day, you guys, an emotional connection is what you're after, because an emotional connection is better for building your brand and loyalty, quite frankly, more so than rational decisions. If I just came in like a robot to that client that I told you about who needs safety right now, and I'm like, okay, nice to meet you. Hello. We're going to be giving you X, Y, and Z, and we'll do this, that, and the other thing. And she's like, okay, thank you. Goodbye. Versus now I'm building a relationship with this person. And what am I going to get out of that? A, for me, it's a much better connection and a much better relationship. B, she's getting an emotional need met that she can't fill anywhere else. So that's going to make our relationship stronger. It's going to mean a renewed contract for me, and it's going to mean a lot of referrals. That's what this is about, you guys. Let's think about this in terms of real estate. If we talk about investors versus or like retail buyers, investors are looking at pro formas. They want to know how much the house is, what the carry cost is, how much they can resell it for. They've got a spreadsheet, and it's a yes or no answer because whatever comes out on that spreadsheet is the result. But if you're looking at a retail buyer, you can never beat selling against somebody that's like, you know, a mom walking into her dream kitchen or kids running into their dream backyard. And not that I'm advocating for irresponsible mortgages, but that emotional buy is what people do to push their budget when they're buying a home. That's literally why it happens, because they get emotional about the purchase. That is what we're trying to achieve here. When you have an analytical decision maker, it's black and white. But when you can tap into people's emotions, you get them to buy from you, not just once, but multiple times and forever. So let's jump into these hacks, okay? You guys know these: Maslow, Tony Robbins, 4 fundamental needs. You're like, yeah, I took psych class in college, but I want to challenge you to come back to it, because whatever you're selling, and I don't care if it's a fitness transformation or an app or software or whatever, it's going to meet one of these needs and you just don't know it yet. I find that the most common needs in business that we're meeting that we don't even know about yet are significance and esteem, being seen and understood, connection and belonging, and fear of loss. So let's talk about this from a practical application. You're not selling food, water, and shelter. You're hitting higher level things like significance. So if you're selling to somebody who has a project management problem, you want to position them so that they're the hero in their company. How good is it going to feel when you solve this problem for your company and you get everybody organized? Remember how you told in your customer interview that you feel super, super stressed when you don't have organizational tools? I'm going to give you those organizational tools and you're going to feel super, super confident afterwards. Also, I think CTAs on call to actions on websites are really important. I don't want to sign up for another newsletter. I've got too many. I unsubscribe relentlessly. I'm that person. But what always gets me is like, oh, for a topic, let's use real estate since that's my industry. Be in the know and get the news before anybody else. Okay. The Skim is a women-focused email newsletter that gives you like the skim of headlines. And that was really well positioned because it's like you're in the know and it's on brand and it makes you feel significant to be the person who's always in the know of things and up to date on the news, right? Same thing goes with these charity-based companies like Tom's Shoes, for example. Anybody who knows anything about Tom's Shoes, they see you wearing Tom's Shoes and they're like, oh, this person cares about, they give a shoe away. So not only are you virtual signaling, but you're contributing to your needs for contribution and significance there. So, and I don't know, guys, you tell me in the comments, like, are Tom's Shoes attractive? Because I just don't think they are, but I said it. That's that on that, okay? The other thing to talk about is making your customer feel seen. You need to tell them that you know where they're at, and you will know where they're at by asking them those questions in those customer interviews, right? So again, if we're selling to a CEO, for example, we're like, hey, we know you're busy and you don't have one more thing to do. So I'm not going to give you one more thing to do, but this tool is going to alleviate X, Y, and Z. And when you alleviate X, Y, and Z, then you're going to be able to fully step into the role that you're meant to do, which is being the CEO of your company. I think that the company Noom did a really good job with this in their marketing. Noom is a weight loss tool. It's an app, and it's very much about like 1% of change a day or something like that. And they really, in their advertising, acknowledge where people are at and how they felt and their resistance to or their previous struggles. Like, I have struggled before and it didn't work for me, but this finally did. The other thing super relevant right now is the desire to connect and belong, because everybody's so disconnected. And we talk about this, or I mentioned this earlier with Asana, but like saying something like join the hundreds of other clients who have already experienced this, really helpful. Join this elite club of smart business owners and join my membership program. The new thing that I've been seeing is if you have a big social media presence, you're selling a membership or something like that. Every time you get one of those emails that's like, so-and-so signed up for your membership, is to screenshot it, block out the name, post it on your Instagram stories and say, she's in, or he's in. And that is really about social proof, which we'll get to in a second, but it also makes people feel like they belong. So the last thing on this particular slide is speaking to people's fears. The fear of loss and the fear of missing out are super big. The loss of money is a big one. You always want to direct people away from pain and towards pleasure. So you always want to use positive language. We'll talk about that in a little bit as well. But just know that that's a key motivating factor. So your action item, your homework. Does your website copy, your sales page, your landing page, your social media, whatever, is it speaking to your customer in a way that acknowledges them, acknowledges how they might be feeling, or acknowledges what they need? Or are you just talking about yourself and what you can offer? Because if all you're talking about is the features of your product, you're missing the biggest, and what I always say in sales, it's an old adage, features tell, but benefits sell. When you can describe the benefits to somebody of their product by relating to them on a more intimate level, you're going to be a lot more successful. So the level 1 hacks in psych, we're going to talk about all these sensory things because aesthetics are everything, you guys. Aesthetics are like the language of feelings, like that you can communicate without words. And we know that humans rely on sight more than any other sense. Our visual system is programmed to perceive beauty. Now, this is a baseline understanding that we all have to agree upon, because this is truth and this is proven. People buy from people that they like, know, and trust. When you are liked, when you are known, and when you are trusted, people will purchase from you, okay? So when we perceive something as beautiful, we decide that we like it just because it's beautiful. And then we're more likely to trust it and buy it, okay? Carl Jung was the one who pointed out that humans are always looking for symbols or shortcuts or heuristic tricks and archetypes, things like that, to make decisions, because it uses up less mental calories to make a decision. So you have to make sure that you are dialed on the visuals. And as it relates to color, I'll give you a website in another slide, but it's like color psychology and marketing. It's not a real science. There's a whole bunch of baggage humans have as it relates to color preferences, but there are some, like, this color makes people feel this way and blah, 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 blah. Color evokes emotion and feeling, but it's not perfect science. What's more important here are incongruencies and contrast. So incongruency, number one, if you have multiple colors all over your website, you don't have like a clear brand strategy for color, or your social media page, people are going to be confused. And when things are incongruent, it makes you look unprofessional, disorganized, and not capable. It means you're not reliable, so it breaks down trust. Okay, so that's really important. There is a really good app called Color Cooler. I'll get to that in a second, where you can plug in your Instagram handle and it'll pull out all the colors of your Instagram feed, so you can make sure that those colors are matching with your color palette of your brand. That is a must, because all of your digital profiles, whether it's your website, your email signature, your social media pages, it all needs to look cohesive. The other thing is contrast. This is super important. Which one of these do you think has a better click-through rate? Are you going to say the red is bad because people say red means stop? It's actually not true. The reason that the red performed better is because it pops, because the majority of this site is actually blue and green. If you look at the logos, I guess it's all blue, or green rather. If you look at all the background information up here, you've got a lot of greens, and then this doesn't pop out as much as this does. So contrast is super, super important. You want to make sure that you're contrasting in the right areas to make sure that you call attention to certain things, okay? So again, on Color Cooler, I love Designspiration. It's a website. Once you know your color codes, you can plug in your color codes and it'll give you a whole bunch of images that have those colors in it. And then colorpsychology.org is where you can go to learn more about like how colors make you feel and all that kind of stuff. But essentially, you're just looking for brand match and continuity. Okay. The next thing is music. If you worked in retail like I did, you probably hate Christmas music. But there was a study done that shows that when people listen to Christmas music and they hear a familiar song, even if it's not conscious, they have a positive memory associated with that song and they shop longer and spend more money. So it boosts sales for retailers, and that's why you have to listen to Christmas music when you're shopping in December. We know that all these different songs, give us different emotions. Like the Sunday night football theme song gets you hyped up. Sweet Caroline makes you feel nostalgic. So the right song sets the mood. The practical application for this, your homework, if you're using video marketing, I am obsessed with Premium Beat. That's this website right here. Premium Beat is royalty-free music. It's between free and $50 to buy the right songs. But what I love about it is that you can sort by mood, and then you can pick the mood that you want to incite in your viewer. From there, here's the hack. Go to editor's pick and then sort by popularity, and it'll automatically sort for you the best options for that mood, okay? Next thing, olfactory, scent, so key. I don't know if you guys have ever been to the Aria Hotel in Las Vegas, but they literally, the scent melts me. I am obsessed with it. It's called Asian Garden. It's by a company called Aroma 360, who literally specializes in scenting brands. They put filters and blow scents through air conditioners, and there's different scents for BMW than Mercedes and Aria Hotel versus the MGM Grand. They all have different scents, and your smell is so related to emotion and memory. You know exactly what Abercrombie and Fitch smells like. You know exactly what Subway sandwich smells like. And if you know what the Aria Hotel smells like, you know that you have a positive memory associated with that. So, more hacks. Social proof. We talked about this a little bit. This is the biggest thing that I don't see people capitalizing on. And it can be challenging because if you have a business to business company, for example, you can't necessarily say like, oh, look at our profits. Like, look at all of our revenue. This is great. You can't show that off. But social proof is the concept of people will follow the actions of the masses. So when they see like a line out the door, or they're posting, or they're seeing posts of other people having, good results with your product, it helps them make decisions, because what they think is, when I see that this is socially accepted by most, it must be correct. Because when people don't know what the correct behavior is, they look for clues. So that's herd behavior. Here's the practical application. The best way to produce this is by video testimonials, okay? They must be good. I use a guy on Fiverr for like $15, but the system that I use is asking the right questions. So asking who they were emotionally before the transformation and who they are after. That's all that I care about. And then I stack the befores, and then the lightning bolt is my product. And then the afters are all stacked on top of each other as well. So it's like a big bang at the end of like, this really worked. And that makes it safe for other people to buy. Also, use the right music there. The mere exposure effect. This is a psychological phenomenon in which people develop a preference based on what they see a lot. They just see it more and they like it more because they trust it. We already discussed. Humans buy from people they like, know, and trust. So if they like and trust you, if they see you, they'll like and trust you, right? So you have to, here's a good homework assignment for you. This even works like subliminally. So if you guys haven't seen the movie Focus with Margot Robbie and Will Smith, please go watch it, because there's such a good scene where they talk about subliminal messaging. Don't at me because the acting is so bad, but like, go watch the movie. It's a good one. So there's two things. This is why remarketing works so well, because even like I said, when it's subliminal, just the fact that they've merely been exposed to your brand again makes them like you more, trust you more, and want to buy from you more. Set up your Facebook pixel and your Google pixel so that you are remarketing like a boss. Like, if that is the one thing that you do in marketing today, you will be fine. The second thing is, if you're a thought leader or you're, from a leadership position in your company, you need to show your face more. You need to get over being afraid of being in photos and being on camera, because people need to see your face to know you, to like you, and to trust you. Super important. The next one is authority. Just rambling through these. Authority. Why do doctors wear white coats? Literally for recognition. That is the only reason. This is from a medical journal, this quote, I have to read it to you. White coats are worn chiefly for easy recognition by colleagues and patients to describe the purity of purpose being affirmed in becoming a health professional. Dentists are afforded the status of a learned profession and the power they possess over the patient seeking care. And psychiatrists and pediatricians try to maximize rapport with their patient by deliberately not wearing white coats. You guys, this is crazy. I thought there was like some like old school, like protect me in the lab kind of thing. No. Doctors wearing lab coats is literally all about authority, and that's a psychological trick to make them up here and you down here. That's all that is. Practical application. If you have a way to demonstrate your own authority, if you're a doctor, you got to always wear a white coat in your photos. It's non-negotiable. I have a doctor client. We have this fight all the time. But if you have been featured in magazines or newspapers or blogs or podcasts or whatever type of exposure, any type of authority, third-party endorsements really play really big with this. You have to blow it up on your website and your social. You have to be your own hype man. This is super important. The principle of reciprocity, which is a really hard word for me to say. If you've ever been like me and lied and been like, when you get a Christmas present from someone, like, oh no, I forgot yours at home, and then you scramble to go buy them a Christmas present, that's the principle of reciprocity. It's like when someone does something for you, you feel like you need to do something for them. So give a little, get something in return. Really easy practical application of this is a lead magnet. I'll give you a free ebook or course or whatever access to this in exchange for your email address, or in exchange for 15% off of your shipping order or whatever it is. But the other thing too, it's handwritten notes, because when people see that you've warmed to them, they'll warm to you. The other thing, especially in the app world, is asking for too much too soon before you've had the opportunity to build reciprocity. So Expedia is like the complete perfect example of somebody trying to jump into bed with you on the first date. Like you agree to coffee and they're like, so we're going to go back to your place. They're just asking for too much too soon. Like you download the app and Expedia's like, I'd like to use your location. And you're like, why? I'm not looking for a hotel by my house. Get out of here. So Epicurean, I think is how you say it, Epicurious. They're being really polite and they only ask for things when they need it. For example, if they want access to your microphone, they're only going to do it when you click to use voice control. So you have to ask for things in the right way. This is all about user experience from a psychological level. And then the last thing that was on that slide before I move to the next cult leader stuff is paradox of choice. There's a guy named Barry Schwartz. He literally wrote the book on the topic. It's called Paradox of Choice. And the cliff notes of that book are you don't give people too many options, because when they have too many options, they make no choice. So the best rule of thumb, this is your practical application, is give people good, better, best. 3 options. Good, better, best. And that's it. No more bells and whistles, nothing more complicated. The other thing that I see in this that's a problem all the time is people trying to do and be all the things. I know you're a multi-passionate entrepreneur. I know that you have a lot of things to share. You want to have a lot of programs, a lot of streams of income. But when you have too many things to choose from, I don't trust you anymore. It's literally like you're doing too many things. And also I'm confused and I can't make a decision on what's right for me because there's too many factors to compare. So that's why things like sponsored products on Amazon work so well, because you get just 3 options at the top and then you pick from those 3. And that's not really for our group because we're all in the startup world, so we understand tech. I'm talking about my mom. She's like seeing, oh, these 3 TVs showed up on the top, so they must be the best ones. Those are the 3 sponsored ads, okay? So let's jump into being a cult leader. I want to know if you guys have ever heard of NLP. It stands for neuro-linguistic programming. Tony Robbins is the king of using NLP. This is why he's successful, okay? I went to Tony Robbins last year on my birthday. I did walk on fire. It was very hot. It was real fire, FYI. It was cool. It was a good experience. But I wasn't there to drink the Kool-Aid and have this big emotional revival. I was there to literally study him and learn. And I learned a lot from him. He is the best at neurolinguistic programming. We talked about this a little bit before when we were talking about the type of language to use of getting away from pain and towards pleasure. You don't want to use threatening language. You want to use desired language. So for example, you don't want to say, if you don't buy this product, your business is going to fold. You're going to run into bankruptcy and you suck. That's not motivating for someone. What is motivating for someone is seeing a positive outcome. Like when you invest in this program or this service, you are going to see your business explode. And I can prove it to you because here's all the social proof, that all the testimonies that it's worked before. You want to influence people, not push them. So that's like a pulling them into your tribe, into your product versus pushing your sale on them, right? You got to clean up that friction in your language. Positive presuppositions are so key, guys. This is when you make a positive judgment about somebody and tell them who they are and use words that are in line with who you know they want to be. For example, you're the type of person that sees the big picture. So you know investing in the software is going to be the right thing for your business. You're the type of person that understands how budgets work. And I know it can be a big investment to get us on board with your company, but you're smart enough to know that this is going to be a good investment that will pay off later. Or you're the kind of person that understands whatever, fill in the blank. You are also leading them to an assumptive close here. You're giving them a huge compliment, and you're also picturing, or you're helping them picture themselves in the after transformation, okay? After they've gotten your product and they get all of these, future desired emotions about it. And that's the next thing too. Speak into the future. You can ask empowering questions of people to show them their future self, like show them the results of them committing in a way that shows them who they want to be in the future or where they want their business to be in the future. Okay. That is painting an emotional picture of who they want to be. Like, you're going to feel so good about this after it's taken care of. I've got you every step of the way. This is how testimonials and afters are super, super important. And this is the really crazy cult leader stuff. And this is what I learned from Tony Robbins. And I will tell you this, guys, us versus them. Please go Google, watch some videos on this because your mind is going to get blown and you will never be able to be sold to again because you're going to know this hack. The us versus them mentality is what is used in conference settings. It is what is used when you go to a motivational talk or when somebody's trying to get you into an MLM. That's a good example. I'm going to go with that example. When somebody's trying to sell you education, we even get this in college, okay? And the us versus them piece is legitimately crazy because it's what's happening in political rhetoric right now. And this is not a political commentary, but you can see this. And all you have to do is create a tribe by labeling the people in your audience as really good people. And you don't even necessarily have to talk crap about the people that are outside of the room, so to speak. But what you're going to do is you're going to combine positive presuppositions, desired language, and speaking into the future, and separate them from other people to give confidence and speak to the needs of significance and being seen and of all of those Maslow's needs by creating them into a tribe, which is where they want to be. Oh, connection. That was the other one I was going to say. So for example, picture me like on the stage, like selling like an MLM, right? Like you guys are here to buy my herbal supplements for weight loss. Okay. And I've got everybody in the audience and I'm going to say things like, we all know that it takes multiple streams of income to be a millionaire, right? Okay. So first I'm starting with agreements. We all know we want to be millionaires, right? We all agree. You guys all showed up here today. So we already know that you're on the right path to being a millionaire. So positive presupposition, speaking into the future. What do you guys think it takes to become a millionaire other than multiple streams of income? You probably need some education and some support. What do you guys think the people that are not at this conference have to say about not being a millionaire? They're going to tell us like all the excuses in the book. Like, I've got 18 kids. I have a job. I don't have time. Like, I'm tired. I didn't have a rich family. Da, 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 da. But like you guys here in this room, you guys know that it takes you showing up in rooms like this to be successful, right? Again, building on that, are you following? We see these people outside, they're making excuses, but you guys are taking action. And you guys know that investing your time here today is the exact right place where you need to be because you're investing in your future as a millionaire. You're making the moves. Those people are making excuses. You know, we all have the same 24 hours in the day as Beyonce, right? All of these things stacked up together, you're building agreements that they can't disagree with you on. Nobody can disagree on the fact that we have the same hours in the day as Beyonce. But what we can do is create an us versus them mentality. And once you create a tribe, once you create something, you know, you're telling them all these things that are true. So they now trust you. They know you. They like you. They're going to buy from you. You guys, this is the kind of stuff that makes them feel special and smart. And all it adds up to is a sale for you. It's creating influence. And it's, like I said, once you know this, like I see this in politics every single day. So please use this for good and not evil, like I said. And this is the last slide, guys, because there's so much stuff that I didn't talk about today. And I appreciate you listening to me ramble and talk a million miles an hour about all these topics. I'm so passionate about it. I'd love to help you kind of dive deeper into your businesses if you need that support. But we didn't talk about things like priming. We didn't talk about learning styles. We didn't talk about if you give a mouse a cookie, then they're going to ask for a glass of milk. We didn't talk about the Benjamin Franklin effect. We didn't talk about negative sales techniques or mirroring. That's just the drop of the bucket, a drop in the bucket. We could go on for days on this, but at the end of the day, like there's so much that you can use in practical psychology to really be successful in framing your marketing to relate to your customer. And I hope you take that opportunity to do so. So with that, I'm going to shut up. And I'd love to know what you guys think. If you guys have any questions, anything like that.
Great presentation, Amber. Let's jump into Q&A.
I don't know how to do, like, do I need to do anything for Q&A? What happens here?
So we have a question in the chat. Can you please briefly review positive presuppositions again?
Oh, I would love to. So positive presuppositions are making a positive judgment about the person and telling them who they are, which is going to be in line with who they want to become or why they're seeking your product, right? So somebody shows up in your store, on your website, on your social media page because they're seeking something. I don't care what it is. Maybe they're seeking, I don't know, like, I don't know why I'm looking at an orchid right here of flowers for their wedding. So what you're going to do is you're going to make positive judgments about that person by telling them who they are, which affirms that they're making the right choice by being with you. So for example, you're the type of person, like you landed on this page and you've contacted me, you're already going in the right direction. I can tell you have immaculate taste. You are obviously going to have the most beautiful wedding. I think this is going to be like in the knot, like this is amazing. You're literally just telling them who they want to be and using it as a way to encourage their behavior to stick with you because you make them feel good. This is the Dale Carnegie thing. And honestly, I want to admit, like, freely and openly, like, that's kind of gross, right? Like, it can be kind of gnarly, like, when you really get into the nitty gritty. But this is exactly what people are doing when they're using NLP and neurolinguistic programming to influence behavior. I hope that helps.
Great answer. So we have another question from Malti. What is more important, copyright or video?
Copyright or video? I don't know how the two are related. I don't think they're mutually exclusive. Video is super important. And, copywriting probably is what they meant. That's probably what it was, not copyright. I'm thinking like legal. Copywriting and video, I think both are really important. And this is something that we didn't talk about, but it's learning styles. And if you're doing video, for example, we know that most people watch Instagram stories, for example, on mute. We have data to back that up. So if you're going to have video, you need to have closed captioning on that video as well so people can benefit from it. But copywriting and the video should basically be the exact same messaging, but you need to provide it in both mediums because some people are going to prefer video and some people are going to prefer copy. And that's just you reaching all these learning styles. So really quick, one of the hacks that we didn't talk about today is in sales. When you get clues from people about what their learning style is, like they can say, I decided to come into this fitness studio today because I felt like it was time for me to make a change, or I saw you guys and it just like inspired me to come in. I have feel and I have saw, right? I have two different senses. So when somebody says, I feel like, or I thought, or whatever, they're using that like feel, that they're a kinesthetic learner. When people tell you they saw you, they're a visual learner. If they heard something or that like stuck in their mind, whatever, then they're an auditory learner. And then what you can do to make that really, really effective in sales is to use the same framework to sell back to them. So if somebody tells me they heard about us and they wanted to come in and try, if I'm a fitness studio, when I'm presenting packages, I say, how does that sound to you? If somebody tells me they felt like it was the right time, I would say, here's our fitness packages. How does this feel to you? If somebody says they saw me, I would say, how does this look to you? And using that in sales is so powerful because all that you're doing is you're meeting people on their level. Like everybody has a different learning style. And if you can relate to their learning style, you'll be super successful and it will click for them faster than if they're an auditory learner and you're like, how do you feel? Well, they don't know how they feel. They want to know how it sounds. Does that make sense? I hope that's helpful.